It's in your eyes. Smoke gets in your eyes. Smoke gets in your
We appreciate what you've done for us. We shall cherish this moment.
Hello out there in YouTube land. It's your man, not your boy, Ted E. Fame, former member of Tony Williams Platters from 1982 to 1992, the year Tony passed. Back at you again with another episode about my life as a member of the Platters. Today, I'm just gonna improvise, just talk about what comes to my mind. Looks like my man Matt has made it right on time. Nice to see you again. Hey Matt, thanks for the comment on the little thing. See, I wanted to show you, that little piano stuff I'm doing, That was inspired because of Ray Charles, because of that encounter we had that I spoke about previously. That inspired me so much, man. I went home and learned how to play piano, man. Ray Charles. Yeah, that took me a while because that's a technique that blues, I think, what's it called? It was like a blues gospel, yeah, kind of blues gospel kind of style that he played at. So to play that left hand that's different from the right hand, and then play the embellishments, and then sing on top of that, that took a minute, but I got it. Yeah, it really inspired me. And I'm gonna kind of put my glasses on because I'll be straining here, trying to see, but I don't want the glare. So, oh, that's where the glare comes at. So now I understand. So I'm gonna try to keep my head tilted down in this fashion, so we don't get that glare. Because I looked at a few of the videos that played them back, that some of the live, and I noticed that. So I'm gonna keep the glare down. So Matt, today I'm gonna talk about just some more of being on the road. As a matter of fact, I was just thinking about on occasion today when we were Vienna, Austria. So this was 1988. And we're there, and this is the first time we traveled overseas for one night. And this was a very special event. It was some kind of award ceremony. And we were the special guests. And they said they were going to have a special guest, but they didn't tell anybody who the guest was going to be. And so they flew us over, and we got there that morning to Vienna, Austria. We checked in our hotels. Then we went to the venue for a sound check. Then we went back to our hotels, and then the event started. So I would say maybe an hour into the event, they came and got us, and we sat backstage for like 15 minutes until they announced who the special guest was. And they said the Platters, and we came out. And it just so happens, this is a great story. You know what? This is the first time I don't think I even told anybody this story. Maybe one or two people. So a lot of dignitaries were there. A lot of people in the government positions in Austria there. And I think somebody in a high position, well, of course, he was in a very high position. And he was a big Platters fan. I think he is the reason why they wanted us to come there, because of him. And he was overwhelmed by seeing us, right? And this is going to connect to later on in the story. So the woman that was giving out the presentation, the awards to everybody at the award ceremony, she also was an MC, so she brought us out. So I got to talking to her backstage, because we had a few minutes backstage, and I could already sense a little interest on both of our sense. Now, how old was I then? 27? Going on 28? Or maybe 28? And I could sense the chemistry going on there. So we go out and we sung. And actually something was good that night. And everybody was like really enjoying us and really enjoyed the show, right? So then we were supposed to leave in the morning, because we already did our show, to go back to America. This is, like I said, this is a one day thing. We get there that morning, do the show that night. The next morning we leave to go back to America. From New York to Vienna, Austria. Crazy, you know. Show you the kind of money they was paying. But like I said, me and her got some chemistry going on. So I asked her what's happening after the show. I would like to go out and see what I could see from Austria before we leave. So she said, I would love to take you out and take you out. So after the show, she met me at the hotel. She knew a hotel I was staying at. So after the show, I went back, changed clothes. She came up to the hotel. No, she was actually staying in the hotel too. She had a room in the hotel. Now I come to think of it. So yeah, that was perfect. So we went back to the hotel, changed clothes. Then I met her in the lobby. She took me out to a few bars and a few clubs. It was like, man, it was so much fun. And make a long story short with her, the chemistry was so well that after we went back to the hotel, she invited me back to her room. So, you know, I went back to her room. What was going to happen from there? So she lived in Austria, but you know, was staying at the hotel just for the event. But she got an apartment in Austria. So she asked me, when was our next show? I said, our next show is in 2 weeks. She said, so won't you just stay for a while with me here? Because she was liking what I was doing, right? And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So she said, all you have to do is go to the airport, change the date on your ticket, pay them $100, change the date on the ticket. They will give you a ticket with a new date, and then you come back to my hotel. So I went to the airport with the Platters that morning. I told them I was going to stay for a couple of days and go back. So I changed my ticket to stay, and I called her, and she gave me the address and stuff, and I gave her the taxi and went back to the crib. Now, that 2 days later, they had this big event, another event. It was a ball kind of thing. And it had something to do with her father. And I said, this is a government thing. And it was like in a castle, a freaking castle, right? And everybody was in tuxedos and stuff for the thing. And so she wanted me to go with her. And it just so happened I had my tuxedo, because in the Platters we all wear tux. So I could wear the tux that I wore on stage to the thing, right? So we go to the affair. We get out the taxi, the car, and we walk into the, first of all, we drove through the driveway to go to this castle. I'm like, it's a freaking castle, right? So we get there, open the door, we walk into the castle now. I'm the only black guy in this whole place, okay? The only black guy. And I'm 28 years old, so I'm good looking, right? I'm not saying that I'm not good looking now, but I'm just saying. And so we go into the place, and you know, I could feel everybody else watching us, staring at us from both sides, and we just walking in. It just so happens her father was the guy who was the big Platters fan, right? So when she said, "I want to introduce you to my father," so she takes me over to the table where their fathers was sitting at, and when she introduced me and he recognized me, he said, "You Platters," and she said, "Yeah, Dad." She said in Austria, Germany, and he just lit up. He grabbed me and gave me a big hug. Thank you, like that. I'm like, oh shit. I'm looking up, and everybody starts standing up and clapping and stuff. And then he wanted me to sit down with their table, and I'm sitting at their table, and he don't talk English so good, so his daughter was like translating for him and stuff, and he was just overwhelmed. He asked me all these questions about Tony and stuff like that, and it turned from being like uncomfortable, everybody looking at me, to everybody happy I'm here. And like I said, I'm the only black guy out there. But the fact that I'm a Platter, and they just saw me a night before performing, so they recognized who I was, so they gave me this feeling of warmth, you know. I ended up staying with that girl for a whole week. Let me tell you something. Yeah, sure was the life of the party. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, I had never been in Austria or Germany before that. And this was in February. I never felt cold like that in my life. It was so freaking cold. It was like, and it wasn't no wind blowing. It was like you in a freezer. You just step into a freezer. That's how cold it was. The cold was going through my skin. My bones was cold. That's how cold. I ain't never felt that cold in my life. And I'm from New York. And I ain't never felt that cold in my life. And I told girls, look, I don't want to go out. We staying in the house. So unless we're going she had this wood fireplace in the living room. They had some old-fashioned, this was like Austria, they still had like old-fashioned style stuff from like the 40s and shit, right? And they had a real, what you call that shit? The stove, not the stove, but the fireplace, a real fireplace. And we had chopped wood. We had to go outside, chop wood, put in the fireplace. That fireplace was cool. When that fireplace get lit, that fireplace was nice, but man, see how the fireplace. And guess what? On top of that, come to find out, on the side she was modeling, and she gave me to prove her point. She showed me and gave me a copy. She was the Playboy Bunny Centerfold of Europe, 1988. If anybody go back and look at that, if they can even find it, the edition, I forgot the name of the edition because I had it for a while. She gave it to me because she had just got it. You know, it was the Centerfold, Playboy Centerfold of 1988 Europe edition, if I'm not mistaken, that was called. And that was hot. This chick was fine as hell. But I was, being a member of that group, I was used to being meeting attractive women, shall I say. That's right, Mark. Damn. So I was used to meeting attractive women all the time. Especially when you know what? America, but Europe, man. I was like a kid in a candy store in Europe. I can't tell you, man. England, France, I already tell you, Austria. But honestly, it was Asia. Asia is where I made my name and where I actually spent most of my professional life artists. Yeah, who's that? LJ Bennett. Yeah, man, she was gorgeous. Like I said, if anybody can Google or go online and find that 1988 Playboy Centerfold edition, the European edition, not the American edition, but the European edition, that's her. Blonde. She was tall. And that's what I like, because I'm tall. I'm 6'2". And she was like, a nice size for me. And shapely and nice. And yo, she can put in some work. And you know what's funny? Now to come and think about it, she remind me of the same situation. Y'all gonna think this is funny. Y'all gonna think I'm lying, but this is not a lie. And now to come think about it, because I saw the Beatles John Lennon story, right? And Stewart, and she she had a friend who was a stylist or something that was like, she was like playing with, and he was around. And this chick had a photographer, because he used to take all her pictures. But I'm sure they had something going on, because he had a room in the apartment, right? And I stayed there in the apartment with her and him, but I'm mostly in her room. And I'll see him sometime in the living room, right? But most of the time I stayed in her room. But it felt kind of strange and weird, because I know something was, because they was like touchy-feely and shit. But he didn't seem to be a problem with me. And he know what I was doing with her. That was strange, man. That was Stuart Sutcliffe. Had a German girl he loved and left the Beatles to stay. But I didn't leave the Platters to stay. I stayed there. Oh, that's funny. That's funny you say you left. I left the Platters for a week because we didn't have a show for 2 weeks, so I had a week off. So I stayed with her for a week after we did that show, and that's when all this stuff I'm talking about occurred within that week time. And man, when I write my book, I got so much stuff. 10 years, okay? I got 10 years of stuff to talk about. I got so much stuff to put in my book. And that was my Austria. We only went to Austria one time. So that was my Austria experience. And man, was it an experience. Man, I can't remember this girl's name. What was it? Dude, this was 1988. This is 2024. You know how many women I know? It was only for a week, and it was over. Oh, in case you want to know the life of musicians, when we're on the road and we're traveling, we meeting women, that's only for that moment. We don't keep in touch with them after we leave, because we're on to the next city or next country, next place, and there's going to be women there. So that's a little bit of a behind the scenes story that nobody really talks about, that I can tell you about, because I was known, because that's not the first time I've done that. I've done that same thing in Jamaica. Yeah, I met so many women. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. That book is going to be very interesting, because I got stories. Matter of fact, I don't know if you going to my playlist in my section that I talk about the Platters. I got a whole series for 10 years. Each year I went on tour. I got a video that talked about that year. So basically, the book is already done, but it's not written. It's spoken. It's blog-wise. So all I have to do is condense it into a book. But if you go to my page, you'll see all that stuff. And I talk about from 1982 all the way up to 92, each year on the tour, who was on the tour with us, what happened on that tour. I don't know how much I can always add to the stories because I never could tell you every moment of every hour of every day. I can only tell you how much I remember, but I can always keep trying to refresh my memory and come up with some other stuff that I probably forgotten that I didn't say. But yeah, a lot of stories. And like I was saying, that's not the first time I stayed. In Jamaica was probably the first time I did it because we did a New Year's show in Jamaica, and that's on, I think I talk about that on that Jamaica series. That was 87 or 86, I'm not sure. And we toured Jamaica. We did Ocho Rios, Montego Bay, and Kingston. And I met the hostess at the airport. Okay, I'm gonna give you a quick synopsis. So when we get to the airport, we get these greeters that come to meet us, and they got the flowers and the presses there, and they meet us at the airport, and they got the hostess who works at the airline who takes us to the lounge area and to the press area, right? And she was fine. Her name was Tony. I'll never forget her. And I stayed with her for like a week. But it was something about her. I never forgot her name. Matter of fact, I had some couple of pictures. I had pictures of all them ladies at some time or another, but throughout the years, the pictures got lost one way or another. But her name was Tony, and she was a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous woman. And we hit it off, the chemistry. I know part of the reason was I was in this famous group, and I'm the youngest person in the group, so okay, I'm getting the most attention from women, but it's so funny that it seemed like all the women like me, right? So every time we go to these places and they meet us, and there's some woman there who just wanna get to know me. So she knew where we was going. She knew the hotel we staying at. She even knew the room I was staying in. And so she said, when I get off work, I'll come to the hotel and call you up in the lobby. After she got off work, she went home, changed clothes. She went home and changed clothes. And this is 1986, 87. And she had these shorts on that, the hotties back then, before they became popular here, she had them on back then. And she came to the hotel dressed like that. Man, y'all know what I'm about to say, What you want to, Ellie? I wanted, did Tony ever tell you a story about Zola Taylor? Did he ever talk about Zola? Not unless I ask him something. He wasn't valid. See, Tony wasn't the kind of person that, talked about the past a lot. He didn't do that. Tony talked about what was ever on his mind or what's going on at the time. So unless you ask, and I did ask him a lot of questions. So I asked him about each member of the group, but I didn't go into detail because I'm not familiar with the members of the group like that, because that was before my time, so I wasn't really a big fan of the group. So I just knew a couple of their songs, and he was the main guy, and I happened to luck out and get a job singing with the main guy. And so that was so I was just ask, and like I said, since I wasn't like a big fan of the Platters, I didn't have a lot of questions to ask him. I was just excited. I was more excited when we go on tour and there's other acts on the show who I'm familiar with and love their songs, and I'm excited to see them, like Chuck Berry, Ray Charles, Jerry Lee Lewis, Bo Diddley, Benny King, the Drifters, the Coasters. And I'm knowing all these songs, so I'm more excited because I know a lot more of their songs than I know of the Platters songs. The Platters was more of a big group for pop music, not for black music. So if they didn't have, if they wasn't like really hot on the black charts, we didn't really listen to them, even though they was hot on the pop charts. So that's why I noticed and be honest with you, I see it in the audience. 99.9% of the audience is non-black. So that's who our audience, that's who the music was for. So I wasn't so much of a fan of their music, but I was familiar with it. So being a member of that group and going on tour and being on tour with like some of the artists that I was familiar with was more exciting for me. You know, I already told you a story about Ray Charles, and we was in when was that, 80, I think 85, and we was in Atlanta at the Omni Convention Center, and it was Ray Charles, Platters, I think it was Benny King, and somebody else. I can't remember exactly. I don't want to say the wrong names. And I got to meet Ray Charles for the first time backstage in his dressing room, and he gave me a compliment because he was a closer, and we went on before him. So his dressing room was right next to close to the stage, so he can hear. And I actually sung "Shout" that night, and he heard us. And when I introduced myself, he complimented me, telling me he heard me singing, and he liked where I sound. Now, it blew my mind that Ray Charles heard me singing and said he liked my sound, liked what I sung. So, you know, the best I could do was learn how to play piano. So that's what you got, Nat, when you saw me play What I Say. That's in tribute to Uncle Ray. Yeah, but no, so unless I ask Tony specific questions about the groups, and like I said, since me not being a big fan, I ain't had a lot of questions, because I didn't really know the names of anybody. I just knew Tony, and I knew the lady Zola. I didn't know the name of all those other guys until after being in the group and then finding out the story about them. So I asked her, how was it working with the other people in the group, and it was fun, and it was nice. It was nice. I think it was nice. And I didn't go any further, so I didn't go so deep. But I did ask him about how the group got started, and why he left the group, and what happened to his career after the group. And by the time I joined the group, he wasn't the same Tony Williams anymore. His voice had deteriorated to, it wasn't like, you like, what's wrong with his voice? It was like that. So that's what I can tell you about. Matt said, like you, Zola was the youngest when she joined the Platters. Yeah, how old was she? Somebody said she was like 13. Was she really 13 years old or 15 years old when she joined the Platters? Because I'm like, damn, I didn't know she was that young. Somebody said that. I heard that somewhere. I don't know. I'm asking you, Matt, because you know everything. So let me know, how old was she when she joined the group? Because I know she was very young. I think she was like in high school or junior high school. Oh, thank you, LJ Bennett. I'm not a star, man. Here's the thing. In 1982, I was 20 years old. And I was, how old was she, Matt? 15. I was right. So they was lying. She was 15. She was, when she joined the group in 1953. She was 15. Okay. Yeah. So, no, LJ, I was just lucky enough to be in the last iteration of the Platters before Tony died. So I was the last member to join Tony's group that he had when he reformed after he left the original Platters, and he put his own group together, and his wife was actually taking the place of Zola. So he was the only original member in the group that I was in. And you can see it in the video. I got videos of us singing that you can go on my channel and see. And we did one song, he's singing, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. I'm in the middle. I think, yeah, a little of that clip is the beginning of this live. So go back to the beginning of the live, and you can see, it starts with me singing in the middle. So it starts with the camera right on me, and then it pans off to Tony. So you can see me. I had some hair back then. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. But so we didn't talk so much about that kind of stuff, and the times I was in the group was totally different from the times that you guys are probably reminiscing on the Platters at. the biggest thing about my time being in Platters is that when I got in the group, it was about a year or two later, I think 83 or 84, this big resurgence for oldies and rock and roll came back into resurgence, and everybody wanted that music again. So we started getting a lot of more bookings than we were previously. Oh, by the way, Matt, I saw your video, man, and you did your research, and you dug, because those two songs on that video that you connected my video to, that's his name. That's the guy who I took place. His name is Ricky Black, the guy that's standing next to Helen. There's Tony, there's Helen, there's Ricky Black, and there's the Ricky, the baritone, and then there's Bob Rivers. So I took Ricky Black's place, the second tenor. That had to be 70, the mid 70s. I don't know exact year. I don't know, maybe 70, between 75 and 80, because though we didn't, when I joined the group, they weren't wearing those uniforms anymore. We was wearing black tuxedos, and Tony was wearing the white tux, like you saw us on the beginning of this video. But yeah, you dug for that one, Matt. I saw that one. Who were the other three guys that took the place of? Like I said, in our group, now you got to remember, after the group broke up, Buck Rams had his group, and he had the rights to the name Platters. But each one of the members formed their own Platters. The thing that made us stood out is we had Tony, and they had somebody singing Tony's songs. So that's what made us different. So the other members was Helen Williams, Tony's wife, female. She took Zola's place. Me, and Ricky, who was Helen's son. His name is actually Nathaniel Shedd, but everybody call him Ricky. And Bob Rivers was the bass singer. And we had an alternate bass singer that would come in sometimes. His name was George Reese. And that was the lineup that I was in. I hope that answers your question, Matt. LJ, yeah, but you've been around a lot of legends. Yeah. LJ Bennett, you're right. I've been around a lot of legends. I got stories about just being backstage. I got stories that I'm going to share, some of them, but some of them, like, really, I'm going to try to tame up the story when I say it. And I'll tell you one. That particular clip that I put on in the beginning of this, that show was taken from the show called Showtime Rock and Roll Classic Reunion, which is also on my channel. This is on the playlist of the Platters. You'll see one that says Showtime, and it's about 2 or 3 hours long. And you'll see all the acts that was on that show with us: Jerry Lee Lewis, Leslie Gore, Lou Christie, Bo Diddley, Benny King. You'll see all the actors a lot of actors on that show, and Wilson Pickett. So here's a quick story. So they had a holding area upstairs above the stage, because this was filmed on TV. So they had for Showtime. So they had a holding area, big, like a dining room area that they had us sitting at, and holding. And each act would go on stage and they had 2 songs, or one, and someone had 1 song, and do their song and leave. And so what they had is a spiral staircase behind stage that we would come down, and they would go on stage. So, okay, I'm gonna try to make this story as clean as possible. So Wilson Pickett and Gary U.S. Bonds were good friends. So they went into the bathroom to do what good friends do. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm doing, right? And then came out. And when they came out of the bathroom, it was Wilson Pickett time to go on stage, so they was looking for Wilson Pickett. So when they found him, he had some residue under his nose, and he was about to go on stage on TV. And had he made it to that stage on TV, when the camera got on him, y'all would have saw that. And I noticed it quick, and I said, Wilson, brush your nose, brush your nose. So he said, thank you, brother. Appreciate that. And then went on stage and sung A Land of 1,000 Dances. That was crazy. That was crazy. I never told nobody that story. That was crazy. That was crazy. That was crazy. In my opinion, Tony Williams is one of the best lead singers of all time. Before he lost his voice, I still am a fan. Hey, you get no argument here. You know, I was in a group for 10 years, so I know how big the Platters fan is. That's why I started this channel. I started this channel for people like you, Bennett, LJ, people who are Platters fans. Get some water here. That's all it is. That because you know I'm the last surviving member. There's nobody else around that was a member of Tony's group and was on stage singing with him. I'm the last one. You know, and it's lucky. You know, maybe I don't know if I look it. I'm 64 years old now. This year, September, I'll be 64. I was 22 years old when I joined the group. Everybody was like 20, 25, 30 years older than me when I joined that group. Okay? I was like a baby in that group. So I still have some of my youth. What you said? LJ, thank you, Ted. I appreciate you. I appreciate you too. And so yeah, I know there's a lot of Platters worldwide that would love to hear these, that's still around, Platters fans are still around, that would love to hear these stories. Because every time I go live, I get people that come on, like yourself, that like to hear these stories. And like I said, I got a whole series. So what I do when I go live, I'll randomly go just tell you about certain events and certain stories that I had already talked about in length, but randomly, because going live and you hearing me talking about it live, you can ask me a question about it. You see, another one that stands out to me. I got so many, I'm just going through it's like a Rolodex, right? Just going through my memories. Here's one. This one, I think I've talked about this before, maybe not on live, but I definitely put it on the thing. What you got, Matt, Mr. Fan? At the beginning of the live stream, I see Tony accepting at the World Oral Fan in 1990. I was trying to find that. If you always have that. Yes. Actually, a reporter was there. I forgot her name. What's that lady name that was there? And she, I took it from. She had went on TV in New York, and they talked about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame event afterwards, and I saw it on TV, and I was able to catch it, and then they showed that little clip when they was talking about it. So I was lucky, man, because it was only like that much. You know, I got the whole thing. I think on my page somewhere, but I snipped that little clip off and then I add that to it. That was a little bit of my work on that. Yeah, but I was after we got off TV. I think it was a couple of days after the event, a week. I can't remember exactly, but it was on TV, and I was able to get a copy of it. Yeah, so that's how I got it. You can't find that on the internet. At least I've never saw it anywhere on the internet. I think I'm the only one that got it right now. But there you go. Yeah, so that's that question. Oh, so what I was talking about, so this one here, another one that stands out. I got the ones that stand out, but these are the ones that really stand out. And you know what's funny? Precursor to that, this nice young lady I met at that show just recently, last year, found me on Facebook, and we hadn't seen or spoken to each other since that concert that I'm about to tell you about. And that was shocking, because I remember her, and then she put a picture up, and I, oh my God, that's you. That's you. I remember you. I remember you. You know, and that was what, 1989, 88, 89. And so this story, about 88, 89. So this was a big event they had out here in California. It was a precursor to Coachella. It wasn't a Coachella then. And it was like a 3-day event like Coachella. But each night it was a certain style of music. So one night it was jazz, another night I think it was country or something, and then it was rock and roll. And on the rock and roll night, everybody who had hit records from the 50s and the early 60s was on that show. And it was in Riverside, in the desert, Mojave Desert somewhere. And it was free. And they built a stage. They built a stage out there in the desert for a concert. It was like, I don't know, man, 70, 60, 70, 80,000 people out there. And they had everybody who was a hit record on that show. And here's the thing, so I'm gonna tell you how come it stands out. So they had us in motels on Riverside, and there's only a few times that we ever been in motels. And the reason why they had us in these motels because they had a large parking lot. They rented 3 helicopters, right? So the helicopter would land in the parking lot. We would come out of our rooms, we'd get in the helicopter and we'll fly over the concert site, land backstage, jump out of the helicopter, run on stage, do our set, then finish, get back in the helicopter. Man, I felt like the freaking Beatles, okay? I said, man, this must be what the Beatles, you know, you flying over and you looking down, you see all those people and they waving at you, waving at you. Oh my God, this is what it feels like to be a star. Man, it felt overwhelming. And we were the headliners. And I'm telling you, everybody was on that show. Matter of fact, the act that we followed was the Righteous Brothers. And that's when they had both guys singing. I think he died maybe a year or so after that show. The guy with the high voice, Bobby Hatfield. I think he died like a year or two after that show. But everybody was on that show. And like, so not everybody wanted to get on the helicopters. So they had limos for the people who didn't want to get on the helicopter. Tony didn't want to fly in the helicopter. His wife didn't want to fly in the helicopter. So they took the limo there. But some of us guys in the group, we said, hell, fuck that. We going in that helicopter, man. And so we flew over in the helicopter. It was amazing. That was the first time I ever had to experience flying a helicopter. I have to say, in my 10 years in the Platters, I had so many first-time events happen in my life. So many first time getting an airplane, first time getting a passport, first time going to the West Coast, because I'm from New York, so I would go down the Eastern Seaboard, so I would go down South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and stuff like that, but not out West. So, especially California. Oh, I got it, and I could tell you about the story because it was, I don't think, it was like March or April, so it was cold in New York, but it was nice and comfortable out here, right? And that was my first time coming to California. Oh, he died in 2003. Man, I don't know. My years off with that. That's why I got you, Matt. You gotta. I'm an old man, so you gotta stay with me. That's why I got you. I love you, Matt. You always got my back. So my first time out there, and so we got off the plane. I saw palm trees for the first time. That's when first time I ever felt. I said, man, one day I'm coming back to California. I love it. We was only out here for 2 days. We got out here a day early. We did our show, and then we left the next day. But there's another time I met another girl, and that's the girl I was talking about, who I actually stayed. I didn't stay a week with her. I stayed like 3 days, 2 to 3 days with her after that, when everybody went back to New York. I was known for that. The Platters were known. They knew that if I meet somebody, chances are I might stay unless we going to another show, we're on tour and we're going to another place right after that. If we're just doing that one show and then we're going back home and to the next day, if I meet somebody, I normally, that's how I was doing back then. That was just, Yeah, that's how it was done. That's right. I'll be here to the end, my friend. You got it, Matt. And so that's how it would be. I would do that. So yeah, I'm not gonna mention her name because I just connected with her. So we are Facebook friends now. So I'm not gonna put her name out there. But yeah, we just reconnect. And that was an amazing story. That was an amazing time. But like I said, so many amazing times. Here's a one. Okay, so now I'm gonna give you a little juice on Tony for you guys that's still here. I talked about me, and I know a lot of you hear about Tony. So here's something that I think I talked about before. This is the Aruba show. We were booked in Aruba 87 or 88. I can't remember the year. It was the same year that Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard fought for the middleweight championship because we watched it live in Aruba. So whatever year that was, that's the year we was in. And we was booked in Aruba for 1 month at this hotel casino complex called the Golden Tulip. It had a showroom in the hotel, and we was booked in the showroom for 1 month. And that show was sold out every day for that whole month, you know, and all the kind of people that, big high rollers and people that was there, they would come to the show every night. 87, there you go, it was 87. So that was the year. I know it was 87, 88. See, I was good on that one, it was 87. And here's a story I know you guys probably interested in hearing. So Tony is a heavy drinker, was a heavy drinker. He was alcoholic, all right? And Tony had to drink. He had to have a drink, a few drinks, before he would even go on stage. He would never go on stage if he had a drink. If Tony went on stage without a drink, you don't want to hear, no. So they worked with him, you know, I give credit to the road manager, Joe. He was like Tony's personal guy, and he was like the one that had to take care of Tony and make sure that he do the right thing. And so he was monitoring Tony's drinking. But this night, I guess Tony had snuck in some extra drink because he was juiced this one night. And this was the first time that I actually saw Tony pissy drunk on stage. I mean, you know how drunk people are like that. And we got to the dressing room, because since we lived in a hotel, we didn't have to drive nowhere. We just left our rooms and go to the showroom. So everybody was there. By the time we got there, I usually get there like 10, 15 minutes before we hit. I already had the timing down, so I was never late. But I wasn't like there sitting around. I would get there just before we go on. And when I got to the dressing room, I saw Tony sitting over in the corner, and he was like this. I'm like, oh shit, we about to go on stage. That man can't go on stage. Oh, how we gonna do this show, right? So the road manager, they was working on him, they was trying to give him coffee and everything to try to get him up. He was drunk. Then I would say a couple of minutes before showtime, he like snapped up, and they got him to stand up, and he was like this groggy stand up, but he was like, I'm okay, let's go, right? And I could see, I have seen enough drunk people to know that man was in no condition to do no singing. So we go out, and this has happened to be a time where we're on the dance floor. Normally we're on a stage, but the stage is small, so the stage, we had the band on the stage, so we was in front of the band on the dance floor. So we on the floor level with the people, right? So we're in our line, the five of us, Tony, Helen, me, Ricky, and Bob, the five up front, 5 mics up front. So I could see Tony from my peripheral here, and I saw him doing like this. swaying back and forth. I said, oh shit. And then he wasn't even singing. He was like whispering, hey, ask me out. I said, oh, we in trouble tonight. Then all of a sudden, he said, hey, you know how drunk people, when they fall, they don't catch their stuff. They just fall. And he said, bam. And he hit the floor. Bam. And his head said, bam. Knocked him out cold. Right? Everybody, the audience, oh my God, everybody was freaking out. The band stopped playing. The three of us, the guys, we picked Tony up and we carried him back to the dressing room, right? And so the MC was kind of calming the audience down and said, it's okay, he's gonna be okay. And then we came back, the three of us with the lady, we came back and finished the show without Tony. And by that point, we knew the show so well that one of us could sing those songs. I mean, we wasn't Tony, but we could sing the songs. So it won't be have to cancel the show. So we did that. Tony was gone. He had passed out. Eventually, we got him back to his room, you know. They had a doctor come see him, everybody come see him, you know. He was fine. He had a big knot. I'm sorry guys, I would be the laugh. He had a big knot right over his head, because he hit his head, bam, his head bounced. I saw his head bounce, bam, bam. I said, oh my God. But he was so drunk, I don't even think he felt the freaking pain. I know he felt that fucking pain the next day. But I don't even think, because he was passed out. I don't know if he even felt the pain. I don't think Tony was never the same when the Platters broke up. Yeah, you're right. Me either. So he slept it off. Next day, I'll go by the room the next afternoon, and check on him. He's sitting up in a living room with a big old band-aid over his eye. He's fine. I was amazed. He even did the show that night. It was one of his best shows with that big ass patch on his eye. I wish somebody had a video camera. Oh my God. So many events, some of those shows were incredible. But let's go to show you. See, if you weren't in Aruba, and that was only for that one show, we were there for a whole month. That was only one show that happened. So if you wasn't in Aruba at that time, you would never know about that show. Only if you was there at that time you know about that show. But you know about it now because I talk about it. And you know what's so crazy about that show? Because at that time, 87 was a time when they actually start featuring me in the group. And I get to sing 2 songs in the group. And one song was Wash the Shore, which was a hit by the Platters in 68. That was with Sonny Turner sang it. And then a Shout by the Isley Brothers. So they featured me in the show. So in the middle of the set, I was singing Wash the Shore. And at the end of the set, my song Shout would be like the grand finale. And it started becoming so popular that I started getting a lot of recognition from the press and stuff. And this one time, the club owner from this club in Miami Beach, it was like an oldies rock and roll club. He had these cars from the 50s that showcased in the hotel, in the lobby of the hotel. Man, I can't remember the name of the hotel. So he was and that was one of our best shows that night. And I was on point. And I had people like, ask me for autographs and stuff. So after the show, he talked to the manager about us performing at his club in Miami Beach after we leave here. Cause what was our next gig? Cause he booked us for 2 weeks at his club, and then he came to me later to the side and said, "I'm booking you because of you. You were so amazing. I want you to do what you did here at my club in Miami Beach." And when we got there, this man had a limousine just for me. He had a limousine for the Platters. He had a limousine for me. I'm telling you, That was amazing. That was amazing. That was amazing. And you would think that stuff would never end. You would think that would go on forever. If you were a member of that group and being a young person like I was, I'm like pinching myself, is this real? I was so lucky to be 22 years old when I first joined that group and be with them for 10 years until I was 32. And I was there at the end when Tony died to go through that whole 10 years with him. Man, what you talking about? You know, I got first-hand knowledge, information about everything that happened in those 10 years. I can't talk about nothing before I joined the group. I wasn't there. Whatever happened in the 70s or in the 60s after he left the original Platters, I can only tell you from the stories I heard because I wasn't there. But from 1982 to 92, you're getting first-hand information from somebody that was there and saw it with his own two eyes and experienced and was there with him, standing on his side. When you saw Tony on that stage, you saw me on that stage. 10 years. LJ, I had a great career, man. And I won't say had because I'm retired from singing. I'm acting now. I also got some stuff with me on my channel of my acting career. I have an acting career now, so I'm out here in LA acting, actually. I got 10 years of music history. You know that's right, Mark. You know that's right, Matt. And I'm talking about 10 years with you guys. And I'm just going to come up a couple of times a week. And I'm going to reminisce and hang out with you guys and share this conversation with y'all and talk about anything related to the Platters that y'all want to talk about and answer you honestly and tell you exactly what I experienced. I'm going to be doing that. And that means I'm going to be, I ain't going to be in here for 10 years, but I got 10 years worth of stories. So that means I'm going to be in here for a long time on YouTube. Yes, I'm acting now. As a matter of fact, I just did a TV court show. It's called We the People. And it went viral on TikTok. And he's even viral here on YouTube. And it's on my channel. You can check it out. It's called Jezebel Spirit. And I was playing Pastor Hatton. And I'm in court being sued by one of the members of my congregations for having relations with his wife. It's a whole crazy thing. And because that story is about people in church, made it go viral. We the People, Jezebel Spirit. Check it out. That's me as Pastor Hatton. Oh yeah, so it's a new thing for me. This acting thing is not like singing. And I'm getting kind of used to it, going to the movie studio. Matter of fact, I don't know how much y'all can see it, but I live downtown. And I was to set my camera and use my window as a backdrop. And as you can see, that's a fire truck or somebody coming down. And that's the skyline from whatever you can see of it. That's the skyline of downtown LA. I don't know how much you guys can see of that, but that's what it is. So I like that background, so I'm using that today. Man, it's almost been on here. We've been on here for an hour already. Wow, this is the first time an hour went by very quickly. It don't even feel like an hour. I'm not gonna be on much longer because I got stuff to do, but also I want to save some stuff for the next time, you know. And I like to talk about it when it pops in my head because it makes it sounds more authentic when it's like I'm reliving it when I remember it and I tell you through the details of it. I'll tell you one more story. This is a story how I joined the Platters, which is also one of my things. Well, since you guys are here, I'll tell you about it. 1982, I was working in Manhattan on 56th and 57th and 7th Avenue, and this all-in-one store that had a little copy shop in there, owned by Dana Matthau, who was the nephew of the actor Walter Matthau. That's 6 degrees of separation, right? And I was working as a copier. So back then, in 1982, they had all this stuff. You had documents and stuff you needed copies of. You had to go to a copy shop, and they make the copies for you, okay? So that's how I was making my living. At 22 years old, I was working in that copy shop making Xerox copies for people. So the manager of the group came down to have some copies made of a contract for a show they was doing the following week. And I happened to be the one. It's not a coincidence, all right? There's 3 of us working in the store at the copy shop. And I happened to be the one who was helping her. I was the one who ended up being the one helping her. And we don't know you have group. The ladies loved you, Teddy. That's right. So I happened to be the one to work on them, right? So I get the documents from her. I put it in the machine. And so what you do, you make a test copy to make sure that you proofread it, make sure that everything looks good before you make duplicates of it. So I'm looking at it. It's a contract, and it says the Platters be working at such and such a place at such and such a time, and even had the amount of money they was making, all right? Because it was a contract. I saw how much money he was making and everything, you know? Okay, I know you want to know how much did they get paid. In 1982, at this show they was doing, they got paid $35,000. That's what the contract said. $35,000. Oh my God, damn, all right. So I'm like, and then it says the Platters, and I'm like, Platters? Why I know that name, the Platters? And I looked at it, I said, excuse me, but is this a group, the Platters? She said, yeah, this is the Platters from the 50s. They made the song Only You, Smoke Gets in Your Eye, The Great Pretender. And then when she said Great Pretender, because that's the song I remember. And she said, The Great Pretender. I said, oh, that's this group, The Great Pretender. I love that song. I love that song. Oh, yes, I'm the Great Pretender. I love that song. You know, so I said, I love that song. You know, now I'm making her copies and stuff. So while I'm making her copies and stuff, we were just making small conversation. And I asked her a couple more questions. And then I said to her that I'm actually a singer, and I'm a tenor, and looking for my break. You know the story, and you don't think something's gonna come out of it, you know. And after I finished helping her and gave her her copies, and she was leaving, I say, hey, nice to meet you. If you ever need a singer, I'm right here. Come on. How many times you heard that story? That's bull. 3 weeks later, she came back to the store and said, one of the members, who is Ricky Black, who place I took, the guy who, Matt, who you saw, the dark guy in the videos, he was no longer going to be in the group, and we're looking for a replacement. And I remember you say you was tenor, and he was a tenor, so we're looking for a tenor. So we're going to be having auditions on such and such a day, such as a time. Could you come down and make it? I said, I'll do you one better. Tomorrow night, I'm singing around the corner. Won't you guys come down and see me in front of a live audience performing? That's better than an audition, because then you'll see how I do in a live audience. And so it just so happens at that time, in the 80s, they had what you call open mic. An open mic, they would have a piano player, and you would get the piano player your sheet music. It would just be you and the piano player. Give you a mic and a piano player, and you go up there and you sing. In small bar, and this place is on 54th Street, 54th And 7th. Matter of fact, it was right across the street from Studio 54. So if anybody knows Studio 54, this little bar was a little ice bar. I even remember the name of the bar. It's called Yeo Triple N. Never forget it. That's got my star with the Platters, so I'll never forget that bar. Yeo Triple N on the corner of 7th and 54th Street, right across the street from Studio 54. So the manager and one of the members of the group and the road manager came to see me. And I sung My Girl, and I sung another song, a Marvin Gaye song. I think I sung Heard It Through the Grapevine. Yeah, Heard It Through the Grapevine. I sung My Girl, Heard It Through the Grapevine. So after I finished singing, they invited me over, called me up to the table, asked me to sit down, asked me if I wanted a drink, ordered me a drink, and said, "We're really impressed with your stage presence and the way you communicate with the audience. And I like your voice. So I think if you're interested, we would love to give you the job. I think you're the guy we're looking for. I don't think we need to have any more auditions. I think you're the guy. So if you want it, the job is yours." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Are you shitting me? Really? Really? Oh my God." I mean, I went through so many emotions, so many things for them. I didn't care how much money we gotten paid. I didn't care about none of that. And by the way, in the beginning, I was only singing background, so no lead, and I was only singing background. And if we're doing a one-night show, I got paid $100. All right? Now that's 1982. I'm gonna tell you right now, $100 a night, that's a lot of freaking money. When in 1982, you was lucky if you was making, on a 9-to-5 job, $40 a night, a day. I was making $100, you know? And if we going if we go on the road and we was playing at some place for a week, I would get paid $500. No, $600. $600 for the week. $100 a night or $600 a week if we was playing for more than one night. That's how I was making that. And I didn't even care about that. All I was excited was I was in a famous group and we was gonna be traveling around the world. And they told me I'm gonna have to get a passport because next month we're going to Asia. Was it Asia? Oh no, I'm sorry, we're going to the Caribbean. I think we was going to Puerto Rico. No, not Puerto Rico. We was going to, I kind of need a passport. We was going to where the hell we was going? Dominican Republic? I think Dominican Republic. Yeah, I think Dominican Republic was going there. So I needed a passport. So we had to go down and get an emergency passport from the passport office in New York City. And I remember that first time I had to get a passport, all right? And this is like the first time I ever been on an airplane and leaving the country at the same time, all because of Platters. And I had a week to learn. I'm saying the next month. So I had time to learn this stuff. So, like I said, I was only singing background. I wasn't doing no lead singing. So that music from the 50s, the background is simple, you know. And I'm second tenor, so I'm singing the top, and the only person over me is the female. So whatever harmonies, I'm always on top. And for example, so that would be my note in the harmony part. And every song is basically the same. You just different keys, or you just know your note, and the harmonies are basically the same. Because the Platters harmony was simple, because the music was focused on Tony Williams' voice. So that's why I think it wasn't like so really complicated harmonies like some of those other vocal groups. So go back and listen to Platters harmony. It's simple harmony because the focus is on Tony Williams' voice. You know, how many countries roughly do you think you've traveled throughout the 10 years? Oh my goodness. Oh. Well, we've been to a lot of countries multiple times. 35, 40, somewhere around there. And we do like when we're on tour, we do a lot of, and when we overseas on tour, we'll play a place for maybe 3 days to a week, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes a month. It depends on where we booked at, and every booking is different. And if we're on tour with multiple acts, we only doing one-nighters, and then we're on to the next venue, or the next city, or sometimes the next country. All that was new to me, man. All that. Now you talking about a kid that before I joined the Platters, I probably sung in front of the maximum 50 people at one time, and maybe if I cheat a little bit, 75. And I'm singing for thousands of people on a large stage. I remember singing. I'm from New York, and I remember there's 3 or 4 venues in New York that before I joined the Platters, I would always dream about performing in and walking by all the time. One of them was the Beacon Theater in Manhattan, and the other one was Madison Square Garden. And because of the Platters and Radio City Music Hall, oh my God, how can I forget that? And Radio City Music Hall, how can I forget that? And because of the Platters, I was able to perform at every one of those venues. Oh my freaking God. Yeah, I got stories. I got time today. I got stories. What else, man? I don't want to talk about too much today. I mean, I've been on here for an hour and a half. You know what? I've been on here long enough. I'll be back. What's today? Thursday? I'll be back on Sunday. I'll be back Sunday evening. I'm going to come back and we're going to talk some more. We're going to continue this conversation with you Platters fans out there. And I thank you guys for coming to my channel and listening to me talk and listen to me reminisce about the Platters and listen to all these stories. And a treat for you guys, because you're going to get stories, you're hearing stories you never heard before. And for you fans. All right, Matt, I'll see you, buddy. I'll see you on Sunday. And I'm going to be signing off. So for all you fans out there, thank you for joining us. And please come back again and just chat and ask me questions. I'm going to tell you everything you want to know. Everything I can answer, I'm going to answer for you guys, because you deserve it. You're loyal fans, and we love you. I love you. And every time I'm on stage and you guys show me love, you know, I'm talking about countries I've been to, perform that. They don't even speak English, but they know every word to every song. And they sit up there in front of me singing it. They can't speak to me because they can't speak English, but they can sing the songs. And I'm watching them lip singing these songs, and I'm like, the Platters are like, wow, the Platters are like world. Everybody loves the Platters. LJ, you said awesome. I'm a big Platters fan. All right, thank you for it. So yeah, check out some more of my other videos, LJ. I got a lot of stuff on the Platters. You're gonna enjoy that. So once again, guys, thank you. Please come back again, and I'll see you again. One love, peace. Take care.